The legal battle between the village of Copenhagen and its dissolved fire department heating up once again. 7 News reporter Lexi Bruning reports on new court documents that claim the fire department is trying to pick up business when it shouldn't be. Lexi.
Jeff, in these documents, the village alleges the Copenhagen Fire Department, Inc. continues to use vehicles and equipment it's prohibited from using. Now it wants the vehicles, land, turnout gear, and public money back. In court documents filed last Monday, Copenhagen accuses the Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. of bringing one of its vehicles to Copenhagen Central's trunk or treat on October 28th and believes someone under 18 drove and possibly damaged the vehicle. A previous court order prohibits the fire department from using its vehicles for anything other than maintenance, and it must notify the village if it does so. The department was dissolved in 2022 after a state audit found discrepancies in bookkeeping. The village also accuses the fire department of using the vehicles for training. The documents revealed these October 1st letters from the Copenhagen Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. to the towns of Harrisburg and Pinckney, asking if it could again provide fire protection to the towns, writing, quote, "We have been advised by our legal advisor that the fire department could contract with any of the towns we had prior to the lawsuit." Harrisburg and Pinckney were 2 towns which had a contract with the Copenhagen Fire Department before it had been dissolved by the village. The letters also acknowledged the legal battle with the village may last for, quote, "multiple years." Copenhagen Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. is also getting heat from a nonprofit out of Long Island which donated a van to the department in 2022. The Terry Farrell Firefighters Fund has been adamant about getting the van back and has recently criticized the fire department for promoting a chicken barbecue scheduled for next month. The village attorney could not comment because of the pending litigation. We also reached out to representatives from the fire company but have not heard back. Jeff.
Lexi Bruning live tonight. Thank you.